stringer, Alex Zostak, Jed Corcoran, another World Cup performer for Ireland in the competition, and Dane McDonald at loose forward. And on the bench, Sam Barlow, Aaron Grew making his debut for the Eagles this afternoon from Fiji, Ryan Hepworth, Matt Whitaker, and the coach, Mark Aston. Now Doncaster with all sorts of injury problems ahead of this game, and as I said, finding life tough on their promotion to the Championship, have Andreas Bauer at full-back. Then it's Gareth Carey, Ryan Steen, Luke May on loan from the Harlequins and just extended his loan spell by another month, Wayne Retty, Josh Whedon and Paul Hanforth. The forwards, Mark Castle, Craig Cook, Matt Carbett, Peter Green, the captain of the side, Ross Devorty and Kyle Briggs. On the bench, Nathan Freer, a late call-up for Freer because Dean Colton was forced to withdraw because of injury, the latest injury setback for the Dons. Jake Bassender, Al Rounding and Jamie Boville. And the coach is Tony Miller, who took over when Ellery Hanley left the club at the end of what was a successful 2008. So Doncaster missing, at the last count, as they take the field, 6 first-choice players, including a number of forwards, which immediately puts them at a disadvantage, Terry.
Bill, that's a big loss. The 3 players that they're missing in the front row alone is Lawton, Haley, Benson. These 3 guys really lay the platform for this Doncaster outfit. They were very prominent last year when they played, and they're up against a big physical Sheffield side. Jack Howison, Scottish international. There's Peter Green. A lot of expectation will be on his shoulder to lead his Doncaster players, but Mitch Stringer as well. Watch for them, because it's going to be a big, ferocious battle. It's been raining here at the Don Valley Stadium, but these fans are in here. They'll be expecting this to be as big as the Wigan St Helens, the Hull KR, the Bradford Leeds game.
And right on cue, the rain starts to come into the Don Valley Stadium, and a very open aspect here in Sheffield. And, that's not going to help proceedings.
Certainly not, Bill. It's going to be difficult conditions here tonight. The ground will be slippery, there's no question about it, as we see the Sheffield Eagles take the field there. It's a small, compact field. The viewers will notice that from the 40-metre line to the 30-metre line, it might sound like that's 10 metres, but it's not. It's about 5 metres, so it's quite a small field. It's very compact in terms of its width as well. Sheffield have got the game plan down to a really fine art. They play here, of course, they've played a lot of games at the Don Valley Stadium, and they will know to keep the ball tight. Their kicking game is generally spot on. And just looking at the 2 sides warm up, Bill, that the Sheffield side do look as though they're going to have a physical prominence here in this game tonight.
Craig Halloran is the referee then, ready to get us underway here at the Don Valley. The first of our games on Sky Sports this weekend, a busy weekend of rugby league to come. And it's the Sheffield Eagles and Doncaster getting us underway, and immediately an ambitious start from the Dons, which comes off for them.
That's the best start that they could come up with. That kicked it low, Briggs just putting it low. There was no chance the Sheffield players could catch that ball, the speed of which it left the kicking tee, just bounced along the ground and bounced straight over Damien Gibson.
Well, that's a great start for the Dons. Carl Briggs with a little bit of imagination, creativity, getting them into a good early position. Now then, can they do something with this? Ross Devorty, famous name, a son of Gary, charging the ball in is Mark Castle, and Castle right in front of those posts now. Great opportunity for Doncaster early doors here. Here is Briggs, whose kick set it all up. Briggs thought he was through a gap there. Just a desperate tackle from Brendan Lindsay, stopping his progress. Cook goes himself, then Briggs gets the ball away, and they have to scramble to retrieve it. And they've lost a bit of momentum there. Cook takes him down the short side. Briggs snaps the kick in. Oh, Gibson's made a mess of it, and they'll get the try from Gareth Carey. And what a start this is at the Don Valley Stadium. And Gareth Carey, who was a late call-up, well, he was on the bench due to be, but switched to the starting lineup when Dean Colton withdrew. And Carey was there as the kick ricocheted into his hands.
What a start from this Doncaster side. Don't say to Doncaster that they're underdogs here. A good kick from Briggs, just kicked it low, hard. Damien Gibson had no chance of getting that, and it was just a confident set of 6. The way that they take the ball to line, it's that man Briggs again, a neat little kick. Gibson again couldn't take the ball. Curry just coming up with a late call-up, as you said before the game, Bill, but just a real confident, aggressive start. The forwards laying the platform, sucking the Sheffield defenders in, and that man Curry goes in for the first try.
Well, Gareth Carey, try scorer on his debut, and here's Briggs with a conversion attempt. What a start to the game he's had. His kick-off really that led us to all this, and if he can land the 2 points he can, it'll complete a remarkable start to this game. And Doncaster ahead by 6 points to 0.
That's a great start, isn't it? Kyle Briggs is he's the name you've mentioned so far about 4 times. Really involved in everything. The short kick-off, the shock play to start the game. And then he just trundles the ball down. His real objective is to put the ball in the end goal. And Damien Gibson probably has to play at that. He's a bit unlucky that it's bounced off him, but now that's gone out on the full. Bill, for those at home that want to understand that rule, they might say that that the player was actually standing out in the field of play, but that's okay as long as he started from in the field of play, then he's okay. He doesn't have to catch the ball on the full. So correct decision by the referee there.
But what a scrappy start this is for the Sheffield Eagles, conceding possession from the kick-off and then conceding possession from the restart. Mark Aston will be tearing his hair out up there in the stand. And it's all Doncaster early doors here as they come charging in with Matt Carbett.
And they're running strong onto the ball. They're landing on the front every time they get the ball.
Now they're going wide. It was Hanforth, and Hanforth gets the ball back. Tall Tiger Hanforth, another very experienced player. Here's Matt Carbett. Leeds Met University captain against the Rochdale Hornets in the Challenge Cup just a few weeks ago. And the ball's with Hanforth. They're in for another try. This is an unbelievable start. Under the posts, they're 10-0 up, surely another 2 points, and Mark Aston cannot believe what he is seeing. His side were red-hot favourites going into this game, but Hanforth has got a follow-up try.
Hanforth's the guy. He's got to be the architect tonight. He's got to be kicking the ball behind the big Sheffield side. But this is how you come onto a ball. Neat little step, stepped off his left foot, under the sticks. But you've got to credit Gareth Carey before. He knew that the ball was going to go out cold in the dead ball line. He's caught it on the sideline. We've got the penalty, and this is it. Look at the try. Off his feet, Jed Corcoran had nowhere then. His shoulders were defending in. His feet were in the wrong position. Look at this. He knew where he was on the pitch. He knew that that was going to be a penalty. They've got the ball. They've marched Sheffield back up pitch and have come up with the try.
First try of the season for Paul Hanforth. Another successful conversion from Briggs, and Doncaster are 12-0 up.
That's a terrific start, isn't it? And it's on the back of some errors from the Sheffield Eagles, and I don't want to underplay or understate what Doncaster have done, but again, Gareth Carey has been very smart there. But if just watch, Jed Corcoran comes off his line, and really Paul Hanforth should have been handled. If Jed Corcoran had come up square with everybody else, that tackle is actually much easier to make.
Well, I don't think the Sheffield Eagles have touched the ball in anything other than restarting it and letting it go out of, well, conceding the try as well.
They haven't, Bill, and we often talk about this as part of the game. Sheffield Eagles like to get away to a great start here. They like to put their team under pressure, and they like to dominate, and you can't do that if you don't have the football. 5.5 minutes on the clock, and so far they haven't played the ball once.
Gary Devorty plays the ball. Ross Devorty plays the ball. It was his dad, Gary, who played for Holland Leeds. And Great Britain as well. That ball's come loose. Craig Halloran says play on. Hanforth does just that. Gets the ball out wide to Wayne Retty. Well, Doncaster's confidence might have been a little bit shaky going into this game. They've had a tricky start to life in the Championship, losing both their games. They went out of the Cup to Gateshead Thunder at the weekend. They've got all sorts of injury problems, but if your confidence is shaky, there's no better way to rebuild it than to race into a 12-0 start.
That's a good take by Woodcock. But again, look at the chase from this Doncaster side. They held him up there. They wouldn't let him go to ground and concede the tackle. They knew that they had to be strong in this tackle. Woodcock done everything right, tried to get around, but look at that. That is fantastic upper body strength. And again, under all kinds of pressure. But that's a good kick-off.
It is. It's caught Doncaster on the hop, and they have to track back to get that ball. Carey, the try scorer. He could have been penalised for a bit of a flop there as he arrived late, the Papua New Guinea player. But again, it's Sheffield having to defend. And here's Peter Green. Loyal Doncaster servant. Yeri gets him at the second attempt. Green's lost a boot. And here's Kyle Briggs, former Leeds Academy player. Ball comes out wide. The kick is another one for Carey to chase, and Sheffield Eagles will have to drop out from under their own posts again for a second time.
And heading for that bottom left-hand corner of Sheffield, just a neat little kick. Woodcock come across, wasn't taking any chances there, kicked it straight out. But again, they've got to force an inline dropout. Looking at the Sheffield players, they've got to come up, they've got to be really strong and dominant. Because these young lads that have gone in for the Doncaster side, with 6 injured players, they're showing no respect to the names that's on the Sheffield side.
Well, you've got a lot of players who are on loan at the moment. I mean, like the likes of Luke May, who's on loan from Harlequins, just agreed to stay for another month in actual fact, and that's been agreed with Harlequins. And it's an opportunity for fringe players at their clubs like Hull and Harlequins, to really make a name for themselves.
See, the other thing too, Bill, is the position on the table is irrelevant really. It's when you've got football what you can do and how much you can take out of the opposition. Now again, we're 8 minutes on the clock, and so far Sheffield Eagles haven't had to play. They've not had to play the ball yet. So that's taken a lot of energy out of them, and Doncaster are able to dictate terms here, and a lot of their players are remaining fresh. They're able to offload the ball, and now, you know, here's another repeat set, a penalty here for what may have been a ball steal, I think.
It was Andreas Bauer who lost it. Looks as though Tanguy Rapati was penalised there. So, again, relentless pressure from this Doncaster side, and Sheffield Eagles will concede another penalty. It was the high tackle there. It was Dane MacDonald, I think, who went round the throat.
Dane MacDonald in a grapple tackle. They're under all kinds of pressure here. They forced 2 dropouts. Here again, he puts his arm right round the player's neck, drags him to ground. They're just giving away silly penalties in really key part of the field. They've got no chance here. They need to get hold of the ball, because you can't defend your own line and think that you're going to have energy come towards the end of the game.
No, you're absolutely right, Terry, but you know what? This has probably done Sheffield a favour. Taking the 2 points. By the way, I agree with the decision. When you're leading by 12, I agree with the decision to go to 14. But it's probably clear to everybody that Doncaster have had Sheffield Eagles under enormous pressure here, and they could have built more on the line and possibly even scored. But now that we've got time off on the clock, it gives the Sheffield Eagles an opportunity to just regroup a little bit, get some energy back, get some fluid into them, recover, and they'll be able to, whether he kicks the goal, even if he kicks the goal, they can come down and at least kick the ball dead into the area and try to get an error from the Doncaster side.
Well, Tony Miller, Carl Hall alongside him, football manager at the Dons, and just about everything else. Well, everybody at the Dons is just about everything else. I have to say that Carl Hall and young Luke May spent yesterday ironing the numbers on these Doncaster shirts, and what a good job they have done, because they are outstanding numbers, as Briggs lands another 2 points for this Doncaster side. They're ahead by 14 points to 0.
Sean, what message would you be sending down now if you're the Sheffield coach Mark Aston? Doncaster started really strong, aggressive in defence, aggressive with a goal forward. What would you send down to the Sheffield players to get them focused back on the game?
Well, the first thing I'd be talking about would be to make sure that we prevent the offloads. There's got to be a little bit more, we've got to get a little bit more bounce off the line. Our speed of line in defence has got to be a bit quicker. Our collision's got to be a little bit better, and we've got to deny them the offloads.
And Sheffield taking a leaf out of Doncaster's book. Ryan Steen couldn't deal with that. And an ironic cheer, I think, from the Eagles supporters, because they're going to get head and feet at this scrum.
That's a confident kick, but as well it shows what pressure Sheffield are under. They're not controlling the goal forward of Doncaster, so any chance of getting the ball back, they're going to take that chance, aren't they?
Of course they are, Terry, and that was they beat me to the punch there. The other thing I'd be saying is go hunting. You've got to go and hunt the ball, but they've turned the ball over on the first tackle.
Tanguy Rapati has lost that ball in the tackle, and the Dons have come up with it, and they'll get a penalty as well, and it's just one calamity after another at the moment for this Sheffield side.
Tanguy Rapati loses the ball. Hanford just gets there. He's in front of him. He's in his eyes. Loses the ball, and he's straight on the attack, and again trying to slow this Doncaster side down. And where are they now? 10 yards from the line.
Craig Cook takes the tap, a former Sheffield Eagle Cook. Was in the Eagles side last season, but has moved to Doncaster, and they're on the charge now. The Dons with Mark Castle. Castle just short of that Eagles try line. Bauer is the dummy runner. Still in possession with Josh Whedon. Whedon is tackled about 5 metres out. Briggs shaped to go down the right-hand side. Brings it to the left, and The Sheffield Eagles defence stands firm there. This time they do come down the short side, and they could, very nearly were in again with Ryan Steen. Steen, if he'd had the confidence then, could have gone for it, but the Dons fumble the ball and the Eagles will get possession.
I think that there's a real weakness down this left-hand side for Sheffield. Look at that confident little players turning the ball back in, but again, let's see what the Sheffield plays. Let's see who puts their hand up. This is where you bout toughness, Bill, in the game of rugby league, when you've got to bring the ball away from your own line.
Well, this guy is a strong runner, Menzi Yeri, who scored a try for Papua New Guinea in Townsville in the World Cup against Australia, for which he was awarded the PNG Sportsman of the Year title.
That's a big rap.
It is in PNG where rugby league is the #1 sport. Looking for a 40-20, but it's not going to find touch, and Wayne Retty will run it back for the Dons. London-born Retty, but learnt his rugby league in and around Leeds.
That was interesting, that the third tackle, and they chose to kick the ball. They've not really had the ball or control the ball in this first 12 minutes of the game. You would have thought they would have wanted to keep hold of it and got some energy back into the legs.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, Terry. I think you've got to complete a set. You've pretty much got to get to the 5th tackle, but perhaps that's showing a lack of confidence in the team at the moment, and maybe they thought, we'll just get to a certain point on the field, perhaps the 30-metre line, and just drive it down. But look how easily Doncaster returned the ball. They're already back over halfway. They're playing with a lot of confidence.
That's the 5th tackle as Bauer goes to ground.
Stringer getting a bit tasty there, Bill.
Briggs fires the kick in, and Woodcock, seasoned campaigner in the full-back role, just lets that one find touch.
Yeah, again, not really the kick you want in this situation. You're leading 14-0 on the scoreboard, and you've got Sheffield under enormous pressure. What Kyle Briggs has done there is slowed the game down for both teams, but I'm not sure that his team needs a break. And Sheffield certainly don't want a break. I think Doncaster really need to keep the ball in play, make Sheffield turn and get back into the corner, and have to work out from the corner.
Doncaster looking to restrict their progress. Ashley Thackeray plays the ball. Here is Rapati then. Won his first cap for Samoa in the World Cup against France in their 42-10 victory in Penrith. Rapati, a famous name here at Sheffield. His uncle Ivor was a player here in the early days of the club. Lindsay has gone for a 40-20. He has belted that one downfield. You're all offside, Chris, says Craig Halloran. I used to think he did.
And that's a good chase, isn't it? There was a red line in front of him as soon as he caught that ball. But it's what they do now. It's whether they can control them. Andreas Bauer taking the ball to line, showing good footwork. But look how hard he is to get down to the ground, turn on his back, and a penalty.
Jed Corcoran involved there. So was Lindsay.
Jed Corcoran, Lindsay's trying to put him down, and Jed Corcoran just lifts his leg. As soon as he lifts his leg up off the ground, that's a penalty. But again, the field position, the penalties, that is what's killing this Sheffield side.
Another penalty conceded by the Eagles, and this one allows Doncaster to move over the halfway line. The Dons ahead by 14 points to 0 here. An unlikely start from them. That early try really giving them a confidence boost.
Mark Castle started very strong in this first 15 minutes. He's really took the ball to the line. He's took it at Jack House on a number of occasions. Mitch Stringer. He knows that Lawton, Haley and Benson are missing, and someone's got to step up, and he's that guy that stepped up tonight.
Peter Green, the Dons captain, plays the ball. Well, will do when he can extricate himself from that tangle on the 20-metre line. Here is Hanforth. Hanforth, one of the try scorers already. Andreas Bauer, who's the Dons marketing man. Almost through a gap there. The Sheffield defence looking a little bit flaky. Bauer plays the ball. Here's Jamie Boville on the charge. Off the bench, the former Hull Kingston Rovers man. Been playing amateur rugby with East Hull, but now back in the game at this level. And Hanforth's kick is scooped up. And the Eagles look to bring it away.
Neat little kick, but a neat little pick-up as well. But watch Sheffield when you're defending. They're coming off the line 2 yards and they're waiting for Doncaster to make the plays. You can see the Sheffield players in the background. Hands on the hips, hands on the legs. Neat little kick, but a great little pick-up. And where everybody was, Wood took the ball and got down as quick as he could to play that ball.
Ryan Hepworth into the action. off the bench. Here's Corcoran. Eagles just need a decent set of 6, really. They haven't even had one of those yet, I don't think. Here is Lindsay. Lindsay back to Hepworth. Hepworth upended, still inside their own half. That's the 5th tackle. He's lost the ball, and the Eagles will get the penalty.
A penalty, and that's the first time in 16 minutes they've got to the last tackle. Got the ball to halfway. Doncaster conceding the penalty, trying to put Hepworth to ground. He's an absolute giant of a man. He takes some stopping. Well, on that occasion, Doncaster giving the penalties away. Carl Hull devastated with that penalty.
Is this the best opportunity so far for this Sheffield Eagles side, who really had a very shaky start here? Errors, misjudgments, and points conceded. And now they're on the attack. And it's Doncaster's turn to defend. On the charge with Alex Shostak, the Scottish international, scrambling his way towards the try line. Play on, says Craig Halloran. Lindsay. Jed Corcoran takes the tackle. 4 tackles gone. First real test of this Doncaster defence now. Here's Hepworth on the charge, and again they go to meet him. Covered it was with the tackle. On the last tackle, Lindsay will stab a little kick in, will he? Yeri is chasing it, and Menzi Yeri, I think, will get the try. First call for video ref Jamie Lee. Offside and grounding is the request from the referee, Craig Halloran. Menzi Yeri, though, was on the follow-up. Has he got his 2nd try of the season?
Sheffield, this is the first real chance that they've had. They take the ball, they've got the penalty, they're up here, they're definitely onside there. Nobody touches it, and Yeri will score his try here.
Well, hang on a minute. Was Gareth Carey
just wondered, yeah,
impeded as he went for this ball?
Yeah, I'm just thinking that's perhaps the only thing that may stop this try, is whether Gareth Carey's impeded and sort of pushed by Damien Gibson. I think that'll be the decision that the video ref will have to make. Other than that, there's onside, there's grounding is fine. I think you could argue that.
Does Gareth Carey lose his legs though there?
Well, is he also going for the ball, and does Damien Gibson make contact?
Damien Gibson's got every right to go for that ball.
He doesn't have a right to make contact with him.
He doesn't have a right to push him over. If Carey's losing his legs,
well, that's what the video ref has to decide.
And he's decided that everything was above board, and Sheffield Eagles are on the scoreboard. Mark Aston there, Mick Cook alongside him. And the PNG star gets his 2nd try of the season.
Play with great width, but Lindsay putting a neat little kick. Damien Gibson there judged not to have took Carey out, and Yeri scoring to get his Sheffield side back into the game. But this is the first real attacking set that Sheffield have had. They played fantastic width, great composure. They got the penalty from playing the ball to the last set of 6. And there we go. They're back in the game now, and they've looked under all kinds of pressure for the first 15, 16 minutes.
Sheffield Eagles 6, Doncaster 14. And that'll be a sigh of relief from this Eagles side after the start they've made.
Yeah, he will show it again, and that's a neat little kick in there. Menzi Yeri gets himself in good position. I'm comfortable that there wasn't any real contact with Damien Gibson there. I said that might be the only thing that you would query. And I agree with you that Gareth Carey probably lost his legs, Terry. So, you know, it's a fair try as far as I'm concerned. But again, there's a lot of tries scored at this ground from that type of play, from that nice little short kick in behind the line. Because sometimes it's not easy to shift the ball from side to side here, and it's actually quite an easy ground to defend on because it's not quite as wide as a lot of other grounds. So if you keep a fairly even spacing, you should actually be able to handle most things. So the kicking game from both sides has already proven to be very successful.
The Sheffield Eagles managed to deal with that restart successfully. Maybe they've settled down. It is. Doncaster have got their injury problems, but at the same time for the Sheffield Eagles, it's a lot of new faces in the team. They've been through a lot of players in the close season, ins and outs, and they've drafted in new players, still finding their feet in the side. On the last tackle, the kick comes in from Matty Brooks, and Retty manages to keep it in the field of play, and himself in the field of play. The crowd didn't think so. The touch judge was right on the spot.
That was lucky play, but look at the lift that the Sheffield side have got now. There's Retty. That was a good pick-up, that, under all kinds of pressure. But look what a try's done. The lift, the players, the dominant. But offside, probably too dominant on that occasion. Getting off the line, showing their urgency, trying to contain this Doncaster side. It was Jack Howison on that occasion that gave the penalty away.
The captain just getting a little bit too enthusiastic. And another Doncaster penalty allows them to move into the Eagles' half. The Dons ahead by 14 points to 6. Here's Jamie Boville. Boville pops the ball over the top, maybe not the wisest move. I think the Dons will get it back, but a Doncaster player was held up, a Sheffield player was shoved there rather, as he went for that ball. It wasn't the best offload.
It was Matty Brooks that was took off the ball. That's what the penalties come from. Boville's offloaded it. Matty Brooks has come through. Andreas Bowers took him out so he couldn't get hold of the ball. But the worrying thing for these Doncaster players, with all the possession that they've had, and they've scored the 14 points, Sheffield have had 2 real attacking sets and they've come up with 1 try.
And the Eagles having their best spell of the game. They're on the scoreboard and they're in the Dons' half again now. I can see Fijian international Aaron Groom warming up on the sidelines, ready to come on. The Eagles fans hoping for big things from him. But in the meantime, here come the Eagles again with Lindsay. Lindsay for Woodcock now. Woodcock puts the brakes on, then comes back across the field. The Dons defending their own line. It was Rounding with the tackle. And they're all offside. It's another penalty. And under real pressure now. Sam Barlow is tackled just short of that Doncaster try line. And then Brooks tries to dart over, but he's held up. Almost over that try line. Craig Halloran says he's short. Brooks plays the ball. Here is Lindsay. Will he find her another little kick in? No, short ball to Woodcock. Woodcock almost spinning out of the tackle and over the try line. Lindsay fancies his chances himself. Gets the ball away to Barlow. 4 tackles gone. And the Doncaster defence again being tested. Right on their own try line. Hepworth, well, a real tangle there, but Lindsay puts the kick in. Oh, and Groom it was, I think, chasing it for his first touch of the game. Very nearly got there. Just on the field and almost on the scoreboard.
Lindsay will tell you he's been working on that in training all week. The ball went to ground, he's come up with a neat little kick. Aaron Groom is one skillful player. Watched him play for Fiji in the World Cup, and he'll bring a lot of energy to this Sheffield side. Neat little kick by Lindsay. Becker would have been proud of that, and Groom went for that. Nearly scored on his first touch of his debut for Sheffield, but he is definitely a player to look out for in this championship. He's skillful, he's exciting, he's energetic. He'll really bring this competition to life.
You've given him a rap now, Terry. He'll have to do something after all that. I'll tell you what, it was clever play from Wayne Retty as well, the left winger for Doncaster, because he would have come through because it was a loose ball. So for him to turn and chase and get back there and force that ball dead is a real. There's special plays from a winger.
Corcoran is tackled. Boville does a pretty good job of just slowing the ball down a bit there. In again Boville with Craig Cook. Experienced campaigner Jamie Boville. But here they come again, and Groom, the ringmaster, drop-off ball from him. 4 tackles gone, and they've lost it. It was Dane McDonald, I think, who's knocked it on. It's a let-off for the Dons.
That is a let-off. Whenever Groom gets the ball, he attracts the players. McDonald here, just losing the ball, just under the pressure from the Doncaster defenders. They're trying to turn him on his back, and he just doesn't have his hand around that ball.
Surely though, that tackle is complete. I think that's a really tough call. To me, that the ball-carrying arm had hit the ground, tackle's complete. He should be entitled to get up and play the ball. Players shouldn't be allowed to work him over.
But as well, he's got to play to the referee's call, hasn't he? And the referee didn't shout held, so...
But you're probably right, Terry. But maybe it's the referee that needs to look at that. I mean, to me, that was that tackle's been completed, and that's a second effort in the tackle. I don't think we're trying to eliminate that in the game.
Peter Green plays the ball. His dad Ray is actually in the commercial department here at the Sheffield Eagles. So divided family loyalties here, and they go for a 40-20 to the Dons, but Johnny Woodcock knows all about this ground. well positioned to collect that ball, and then finds Gibson, and Gibson away from the first challenge.
That's unbelievable. Mr. Doncaster's dad works at Sheffield. That'll cause some problems tonight.
Oh, and Boville came looking for that one and didn't find it. Well, only got a bit of it. Sostak. Here's the challenge from Jamie Boville.
You've got to love rugby league for that.
Thackeray did well to avoid that. Another 40-20 effort, and I think this one will come off. Lindsay, if at first you don't succeed, try again, and he comes up with the goods.
Well, Lindsay's little kicks, the little kick that he got so close, the goal line dropout, should I say, and that kick, he's been going for it all night, 40-20s, and to come under all kinds of pressure that they've been under in the first 15 minutes, to come up with a play like that, that shows what a real skillful player he is.
Well, Coach Mark Aston will be absolutely delighted. You know what, Terry? It's actually a 30-10, that kick. And that's, I spoke about, just as the players went on the field, about the shortness of the field. So 40-20 options are on all the time.
Groom. Weaving run from him, and Groom fancying this one himself. Tackled in the corner, gets the penalty. Just a hint of desperation now from Doncaster. After that dream start, they have been under the cosh.
But there's the last 10 minutes, it's all been about Sheffield. There's big Sam Barlow trying to get them to the line, but Aaron Groom, they've really got to keep an eye on him. He tracks all the defenders, but you've got to look on what's outside of there.
Eagles in the middle of the field, and the ball comes left with Lindsay, and then Lindsay finds Matt Whitaker, another one of the seasoned campaigners in this Sheffield Eagles side. Here is Lindsay. Hepworth now, and Hepworth trying to barge his way through. 4 tackles gone. The Dons on their own try line. Lindsay feints to pass. Now Aaron Groom. Groom a little skip and a step from him. Sostak has lost that ball, and Peter Green pounces on that one gratefully, and a chance goes begging for the Sheffield Eagles.
That ball went back from the Sheffield side, but Peter Green was the one who was alert to where the ball was. Pounced straight on the ball. You can see just going for the offload, loose carry. Peter Green was aware, dives straight on the ball and helps his Doncaster teammates out.
Well, an eventful first 26 and a half minutes here, which sees Doncaster, unlikely as it seems, ahead by 14 points to 6. Jamie Boville not put off offloading again. The first attempt didn't work out for him, but that one was not a bad one. Now Retty will chase this kick, but it's going to find touch before he can get there.
It shows how important it is to have a player in your side that can come up with a kick. Sheffield have got Lindsay and Doncaster have got Hanford. You think that Hanford's going to be one of those guys that's going to want to turn around this big Sheffield side, because they've got 2 front rows in Jack Howson and Mitch String who really like to take the ball forward. But the guy that I've been impressed with in the first 20-odd minutes is Mark Castle, just going into the scrum there, number 15. He really has took the game by the scruff of the neck and took it to the Sheffield pack.
Castle and Carbett, the other prop as well, have worked hard in the absence of those big guns that you were talking about earlier on, Lawton, Haley and Benson. Of course, it's been a tricky start to the season as Menzieri just swats aside the first challenge, and Yeri going down the touchline. Gibson on his inside, Gibson on the outside, and Gibson gets the ball away. And I think the Eagles might even get head and feet here. It came off a Doncaster player at the last, will they?
His own legs just couldn't get in there, Damien Gibson. But what about the handoff from Yeri? Look, he nearly puts his hand straight through his chest. The speed, the strength, he's where Gibson is, passes the ball to Damien Gibson. Gibson's looking for that try line, come here! He just couldn't get there in time.
No, it didn't hit a Doncaster player. It was Gareth Carey, a try scorer and a try saving tackle, I reckon.
Years ago for Damien Gibson, years ago. I'm sure he won't mind us saying that. He's certainly in the twilight of his career, but years ago he would have been the years back and scored that, wouldn't he? It was a great chase back though from Gareth Carey, who was the one that got fended off. Turnover here,
and
pressure.
The Dons have copped up possession in a dangerous position. Damien Gibson will be 33 next month, the former Welsh international. And here is Whitaker. So the Dons, having snuffed out that last attack, now find themselves under pressure again. And it's with Sam Barlow. Was at the Widnes Vikings last season, made about half a dozen appearances for them off the bench. Barlow plays the ball. Here is Aaron Groom now. How he'd love to mark his debut with a try, but this time he offloads the ball. 3 tackles gone. They're right on that try line as Sostak plays the ball. Groom. Lindsay now. Lindsay. Woodcock. Menzieri in for a second try. And in almost the identical position. And the mistake from Doncaster is punished by another Sheffield Eagles try, and their comeback is gathering a little bit of momentum here. And I thought it was too good to be true for the Dons. And Menzieri, this PNG international, living up to his reputation.
This is where the mistake is. He takes his eye off the ball. You see the Sheffield defenders, the big guy in Ryan Hepworth coming up, giving him all kinds of pressure. But look at the width in which the Sheffield side play the game. Good hands by Johnny Woodcock there, and Yeri, there was no stopping him there. 2 minutes early, he's made that break. He shows how strong he is, but it's the width in which this Sheffield side are playing. In the warm-up, they were doing moves like this. They were coming up with the big plays. And this is a confident Sheffield side. It just goes to show that all they need to do is control the ball and play in the right part of the park, and they will score tries.
And Woodcock, who's smooth handling set up that opportunity for Menzieri, has this difficult opportunity, but he landed the first from about this distance. That one wide of the target, but the Sheffield Eagles just settling down into a bit of a rhythm here. Was Savataboa on there with the water, another of the long-time associates with the Sheffield Eagles side. Woodcock misses with the kick, but Yeri on target for the second time in this game.
Yeah, and from the turnover, the ball gets shifted from right to left. Gareth Carey probably had to come in there. He made a decision to come in off his wing. I felt as though the Doncaster side probably had numbers. They could have slid out on the players and maybe made it a little more difficult to score for the Sheffield Eagles. But they made decisions. They went forward. They then stopped, and Gareth Carey continued to come forward. Here's another short kick-off option, and Doncaster will come up with the ball.
It's come off for them. Well, that was audacious, to say the least. A little flick from Carey it was. And Doncaster immediately are back on the front foot. And right underneath those posts. On the charge. Mark Castle it is, just short of the try line. Sostak underneath him, desperately making the tackle. They're trying to burrow their way over. And they're driven back. Hanford it was. Now they go out wide. Briggs pops the ball up. That's the 5th tackle on the try line. Briggs puts the kick in, and Lindsay gobbles that one up, and the danger is diffused for the Sheffield Eagles, and Whittaker picks it up, scoots away.
Lindsay spotted that. He knew that the kick was on, and he placed himself in a perfect position to take that pass. You can see him just turn and pulls it in with his right arm, looks up, sees where he's got to go. But again, pressure from the Doncaster side, but a Sheffield defence on that occasion was too good.
On the halfway line, and on the charge come the Sheffield Eagles with Sam Barlow again, and Barlow gets the pass away. And the ball, agonisingly out wide. And still alive with the Eagles. OK, says the referee, and the Dons pounce on it. Well, it looked as though they had to be in there. Mark Aston furiously thumps the page and scribbles something down.
He's furious because that was the 3rd play. They didn't need to offload the ball. They were 20 yards out from the Doncaster line. Sam Barlow come up with a fantastic break. Aaron Groom there with the offload. Just looking, thought he was going to get dragged into touch, but maybe the quicker play or the better play was to get down and play the ball as quick as you can and try and attack on the next play.
Just a little bit headstrong from the Sheffield Eagles. And it allows Doncaster to come forward again. Flirting dangerously with the sidelines there. So, kick on the last, and Woodcock, the Sheffield Eagles fullback, PE teacher in the Rotherham area, loops a pass to Aaron Groom, and Groom, a little burst of pace from him. His last game was in the World Cup semi-finals when he played against Australia. So that's a hell of a wait between games, isn't it? That was in November last year.
You'd be asking a lot for someone to get through the amount of time that he's going to have to, but he looks a class act, doesn't he? He really looks like he's got a great turn of speed and good feet on him. As we see a penalty here going, I would think it's going to go to the Sheffield Eagles.
I'm not so sure it will. I think he's saying that Mitchell Stringer raised the elbow there.
And
that seemed a little bit harsh, really. Started off as a handoff.
Seems a bit harsh, that.
Mark Castle didn't have any problem with it.
No. Halloran spotted it. He thought he was in a better position there. And penalised Mitch Stringer, but that was a bit of a harsh penalty, that. But Mitch has got to keep his composure, though, this set. He's given away the penalty. Just get on with the game and try and dominate in defence.
Ryan Steen plays the ball on the halfway line. Can the can Doncaster rather, end this first half as they started it with a flurry of points? That's what they're hoping. Sheffield Eagles have come back at them, but it's the Dons in possession now. It's that man, Mark Castle, who'll play the ball. He's had an eventful first half for his side here. Carbett, fellow front rower. On the last now. Needs to be a good kick, or will they run it? It's a little chip kick. Lindsay has played at it, and Lindsay has it back. He hasn't got the pace, and Hanford is there to make the tackle. But again, Brendan Lindsay, old stager, well, not that old, but he's been around, he knows the position, and he knows where to be.
He's the old stager, okay, but he does know his way around the pitch. He knows exactly what play's coming on. He knows the play before the Doncaster players make the play. He's that clever, Bill.
Well, he had no choice but to play that ball, did he? You've got to play at that football. You cannot allow that ball to go dribbling in behind the line and then having the on-rushing offense of Doncaster going to put someone else under pressure. So it was a terrific play.
Barlow gets to his feet to play the ball for the Sheffield Eagles. Here comes Mitch Stringer. There can't be many lads from Somerset playing rugby league at this level, but Mitch Stringer is one of them, born in Yeovil in actual fact. The Sheffield Eagles front rower. On the last now, and it's Aaron Groom who'll fire a kick in. That's too strong, and it's fielded and brought back into the field of play by Josh Whedon, and they'll get the penalty, will Doncaster. Just too much enthusiasm from Matt Whitaker there. He can't really believe that decision.
No, he's questioning the decision because let's see, when the Doncaster player goes into ground, Matty Whitaker doesn't do anything. He doesn't drop on top of him, so the tackle's not complete. He's got every right to pick him up here and drive him over the line. He's been hard done to there, Sean.
Well, he probably has been. There may be an interpretation, though, Terry, that as soon as you put your hands on the player, then that tackle is complete. If the player is attempting to get back up and run, then you can do that. And I think that's one of those ones that's a little 50-50.
Jake Bassender plays the ball for Doncaster then, who still lead by 14 points to 10 here. They were 14-0 up. Sheffield Eagles have come back into the game, but it's still the Dons who look as though they're going to head into half-time ahead here. Still a couple of minutes to go in the first half in actual fact, as Hanford goes on a little run, and then the pass just too strong, and it'll come back in favour of the Sheffield Eagles there.
Well, Paul Hanford has worried the defence there. He's got rid of Matt Whitaker pretty easy. It's not the easiest pass to take, and I think Jake Bassender was it that's dropped the ball, and Tony Miller, I think he'd be very, very happy with the 40 minutes, but he would certainly be a little bit concerned that after, what was it, 8-10 minutes, they were leading 14-0. So they've been kept scoreless from that point on, and Sheffield have had periods of dominance after that, but they're certainly hanging in there, Doncaster, and maybe this will be the scoreline they'll go into, but Sheffield, I think, will have one more raid before the half-time siren sounds.
Well, they're on that raid now with Woodcock. Woodcock is tackled on the halfway line. Beg your pardon, it's actually Thackeray who plays the ball. Thackeray. Off they scamper. And it's with Aaron Groom, and Groom finds Dane McDonald. McDonald puts the kick in, and Retty, very close there was Thackeray.
Good play by Dane McDonald, putting all kinds of pressure on the Retty, but it was the quick play the ball from that man Dame MacDonald that got him into that position, that allowed Aaron Groom to kick the ball on the front foot. It's end to end this game. Both teams making lots of meters, been directed round by really good half-backs, and it's the big guys that's making them inroads into each other's defence.
Ross Devorty up to the 40-metre line in the Don South, plays the ball. Now here's Peter Green. Three of them in the tackle initially. Green plays the ball on the halfway line. The clock counting down at the end of the first half here. Groom came for the tackle, almost missed it, had to go back for a second attempt. Here's Wayne Retty now. Retty wearing the red boots.
My only negative on Sheffield in this first half is that they move up 2 yards and they stop and they wait for Doncaster to come forward, and that's why Doncaster are making so many yards. If you're trying to defend and you're standing flat-footed, someone's going to run over the top of you.
Briggs with the kick. It's not a bad one, and from the outside of the boot as well. He did that one well, and it put Thackeray under a little bit of pressure. Tanguy Rapati, as the ball is played, the hooter sounds, and Tony Miller, well, he'll be a little bit disappointed that a 14-0 lead has evaporated here, but it's a lead that a lot of people didn't think that Doncaster would ever have, in actual fact. They got off to a dream start, but the Sheffield Eagles have pegged them back, and it's all set for a great second half here at the Don Valley Stadium. Sheffield Eagles 10, Doncaster 14.